Hey gang, how you doing? Hopefully the audio is going to be a lot better. I am feeling better. Maybe I'll sound it, but I'm still a bit what they call heady, I guess, because of the sinuses and everything. So, it's nice to have a fridge in the shop, isn't it? Coming to you today because I was planning on doing this video, but I wasn't sure when to do it. But I'm working on some Jaspers right now, and I was changing out my blades, my bands for my bandsaw, and I got to think, you know what? Now's a good time to talk about some of the tools that I've been using for the last 10 years. Some of them are fairly new, meaning within maybe the last 5 years or so. This bandsaw in particular I've had for probably 6 or 7 years, but I thought the tools I have here are probably, I wouldn't say the end-all be-all, but I would definitely have to say that if you have these tools that I'm going to start sharing with you all, any home shop, any knife maker, anybody that wants to get into some type of, just fidgeting, whether it's woodworking or otherwise, these would probably suit you pretty good. And again, it's not the end all be all, and I'm just giving you my opinion on all these, but as I go through, you can go back in videos that I've had in the past, and this will probably be in like the playlist for Knife Making 101 or something like that, but some of these things I've had for almost 10 years, and I'm still using them. Other things I've had for maybe 5, 6, 8 years, or even just a year or so. And then if there's any links or anything, I'll have them all down below, and I'll probably go through this every video I have, but there are no sponsors in this. The only people that I would give a huge shout out to have been the ones that have been with me for at least the last 6 or 7 years. It's not a sponsorship. They just send me some stuff once a year just to kind of help out the company, and I appreciate that. So I'm going to give them a shout out in a second. But let me get you guys set up. I'll show you what I'm doing right now and talk about each one of these, because today is all about bandsaws. You got to excuse me. I got to get my singing voice going here. So again, I'm just shaking the rest of this head cold, and it's been a bit of a challenge, but it's going okay. So one of the first things I'll touch on is the Jet. Now, I don't remember the exact model. I'll leave a link down below. I did buy this off of Amazon, so I'll leave an Amazon link down below. Any Amazon links are connected to my affiliate program with Amazon, so I might get like 5 cents or $1 if you use that link. I do appreciate it, but it's not a whole lot, but it doesn't affect your purchase price. It's the same price if you just bought it straight, or if you buy it off my link, like everybody else probably has told you on YouTube. But this Jet, it's a 14-inch, I believe it was, and it's a wood metal bandsaw. I would have to say, because when I first started making knives, my old buddy Jeff, he had a Jet, but it was a metal bandsaw, and it was the kind that you could fix upright. We used to actually straddle it. It was like horses. We'd straddle it and the neck was up, and we'd use this little tiny table to cut steel. But it was really meant that you would lay bar stock across it, and then this arm would come down, and the weight of the bandsaw arm would just slowly press as the band's going, and then when it flipped through, when it completed a cut, it would hit a switch and shut the saw off. I thought that was really cool, and I was actually going to buy one of those because, again, that's how I learned on it. But then I started thinking, well, I don't just do knives and steel products. I also do some wood stuff from time to time. And I would still have to have a bandsaw to cut the wood, because I wouldn't have to always want to use a table saw to do that. So I went with the 14-inch, and I went with this Jet just by name brand alone. Now there's Shop Fox, there's Husky, I think it's Grizzly, Shop Fox, probably Wen has something now again. I think I bought this 6, 7, maybe 8 years ago. I bought this, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I bought this, and I've loved it ever since. Now, as you see, the marketing system right here, as you see there, Saw Service of Washington or LA Cutting Products. They're the company. Chris and me and family have been supporting me for the better part of 5 or 6 years now, and about once a year they send me some blades. I'll get a couple of blades for the bandsaw here. it's just basically to support me in what I'm doing, and I always appreciate it. That's why I always try to give them a shout out when I can. You know, they send me cards or, you know, something, and I send them off with knives just to give them an attaboy. So I do appreciate it. It's a family-owned business, and they're over there in Washington, just north of Seattle. Now, what I've been doing today is I'm changing out the blades because, again, it's a wood metal saw. Now, I don't have any metal to cut, but what I do have is I have some wood and I have some scales. And what's nice about this saw is that you can go ahead and use wood and metal blades. So you can get a 1014, 1012. You can get wood and metal. They got different thicknesses or depths, this is basically the depth from the tooth to the spine of the band. You get different depths. I've got a couple of different, just 2 different depths here, just to show you the 2 different thicknesses. Hopefully you guys will see this. You see the 2 different thicknesses here on these blades. Just that alone is a good variety, but they make so many different styles and shapes, and me and family over there, they'll actually cut your band to pretty much any custom length you need. That means if you have a bandsaw that has a neck extension, meaning you can go taller material or something like that, they can actually custom make one for you. But otherwise, it's super simple. You just give them the model, the make and the model of your bandsaw and some other details, and they can make a blade or have blades already pre-made for you, and they're really good about that. So I would have to say the biggest purchase, I mean, when I got this, it came in a crate. I did a video on it. I'll have to link it somewhere up above here, or it'll be in the playlist, and it's my jet bandsaw, how it got delivered to me. And I go through a couple of videos on the blades and stuff and how it was working out. But maybe back then it was like $1,200 or $1,400. Again, that was pre-COVID money. That was, you know, 8 years ago or something. It was about $1,200 or $1,400. But I have to say, one of the largest investments, and there's going to probably be 3 big key investments that they're expensive, but they really made my life, or let's say 4 main tools that we're going to be going through in this video series that made my life as a knife maker and as CK Knife and Tool a lot easier. And in the category of bandsaws, this is it, because even though it takes time and you can change out the blades, you don't need the other 2 bandsaws I'm going to show you. You could do it all on this. Because just for efficiency and flow, and sometimes I had a couple of people in the shop working, I wanted a different setup and blades. What I would do personally now, if I could afford it, or maybe later down the line, I would actually have another one of these, because I like these so much. I would actually go to one that would always have a metal blade on it, and then I would have another one that would have a wood blade on it. I would have it specifically tuned for that. I'd have a really good wood blade on this, or a band. And I personally like a really deep blade because it doesn't twist as much as these thinner ones do. This is a used one. It's got some good teeth still, so I'm using that just to cut some scales. So I don't mind a little bit of bend or flex, but I would definitely go with a deep band on this one, and I would make this specifically just for wood. Or I would look into buying a just wood standing bandsaw. Now again, you don't have to stick with Jet. I have nothing, I have no ties with Jet. I do have several different company tools in here, not affiliated or supported by any of them companies. I just get either A, what I can afford, what's available, or what I think is going to work well for me, what has good reviews. I would have to say this bandsaw, in the link down below, this is great. I've had no problems, other than the switch here does get some sawdust, it gets dirty. I just blow it out. I had the compressor here, and it's usually, depending on your use, it's once a year or every 6 months. Blow everything out. I got a rag here that's oily. I'm wiping and cleaning the rubber seat that's on the wheels, because of the fact that it does get some metal shavings and such. But otherwise, super happy with it. So let's move on to number 2 bandsaw. Okay, so the second bandsaw, and actually the first bandsaw I ever had in my shop. That is my Milwaukee here. It's a corded bandsaw, and it's actually operated by a foot pedal down below that I keep at the toe kick of the cabinet here. I mounted this the year I bought this, and I have to think I got this probably within my first year. I got it my second year because we just finished a remodel of the shop in Washington, and I bought this because I could afford it. Now, with that being said, you probably could have went cheaper and got something like maybe a Harbor Freight brand, like a Bauer or something like that. But I got that mindset where sometimes I just follow the theory of buy once, cry once. And hindsight being what it is, I think I should have just probably bought the Bauer versus the Milwaukee because I could have saved a lot more money that way. And considering what I was using it for, and literally the next year, I ended up buying that Jet, the standing bandsaw, the wood metal one. I would have to say that I would have rather spent like 80 bucks on a bandsaw, the portable, they call them a portable hand bandsaw. Bought like a Bauer or somebody less expensive, and then still bought the Swag off-road table because they make their tables that are universal for a variety of different bandsaws. There's different mounts. They're here, and then they also, when you go to order it, you can type in and select which one you have. Probably more now than they did, 8 years ago, but I bought the Milwaukee, but I would have to say, do I regret buying it? No, but if you were looking at getting something like this and starting out in knife making, listening to a guy that's been doing it for 10 years, and I will tell you where I should have spent money or where I shouldn't have spent money, because time is a good teacher. I would say if you're going to do this, even as you're starting out and you might not have a future like mine and have a company, I would say get something from Harbor Freight, get one of their bandsaws, but go over to Swag Off-Road and get one of their tables. If it helps, go to Swag first, find out what kind of tables they make for specific brands, and then go that route. I kind of did it in reverse a little bit, but I'm going to say that's not bad. And I think the foot pedals, you can buy those off of Amazon or anything. Very inexpensive. If I found it, if I remembered, the link is down below. But the Swag Off-Road table, so happy with it. It got a little rusty from the moves and stuff like that, but it's great. It's bolted here, and it's an awesome saw and setup. Now, the only thing I use this for is for cutting pins or some small wood or metal projects that we do. I used this when I was making the rack and everything for a trip on my old Nissan Titan build when I did the fuel tank storage stuff. I use this for small metal projects that I do on Ruby or some little things around the shop. So it's good there. It only has 2 speeds. I think they're around 300 and 325 or 325 and 360, something like that. Because it's foot depressed, I actually have a piece of Velcro strapping around the trigger, so the trigger's always squeezed. You have to do that. So this way, whenever you're ready to use it, you just come over here and step on the pedal. So there are only 2 speeds. Both speeds are really fast, and it's kind of too fast for cutting D2 and some of my CPM metals like S35VN and 154. So even with the blades, and this is where Saw Service of Washington and LA Cutting Products, Chris and his crew worked with me diligently on trying to figure out a blade that would work best. But the biggest problem we found out is with that Jet, with the reason why I like that one, say that would be the first purchase of anybody's shop, that one goes down to like 100 and some revolutions a minute. This is no slower than 300 or 325. That is way too fast for cutting anything like CPM steels, D2, or basic stainless steels like 154 CM and S30VN. This moves a little bit too fast for that. You got to go down to that 150, 200 RPMs to be able to cut those steels. Do I regret buying it? No. I just recommend save your money, buy a smaller bandsaw, a portable one, but still get the Swag off-road table. No affiliates other than what you see down below, and nobody knows I'm making this video again. It's kind of weird to have to always say that, but maybe I'll stop. But anyhow, Do I recommend it? Yes. For a small knife maker, that's what I would do. But if you could still do it, I would still steer you back to the Jet that was back here. Now for Bandsaw 3. Okay. Last but not least, the little cheapo. This is Performax. This came from Menards, I believe. It's a box store here in town. It's really nothing fancy. I think this one cost me about $180, but this only has basically two purposes. This is what I use to do my Kydex and my leather sheaths. I say leather, yes, because when I glue the sheath and I have a welt and I have a really thick, sometimes, you know, a ½ inch or more of leather that's glued together, I use this, cuts through it super easy and fast, and then I'll actually use the bandsaws here or something to sand everything down. I also use this for Kydex. Now the teeth, I got these also from Saw Service of Washington. These were bandsaws. Bandsaw blades are Olson brand. This is a 1/4 inch wide. The depth right here, it's a 1/4 inch. Sorry, and it's I'm trying to think of what it says here with the TPI. I'm missing the TPI here, but anyhow, it's a nice one, or a very aggressive blade on it. But what's nice is it does have some bend and some wiggle to it. It's not an expensive bandsaw. It's really easy for anybody to get into this, but it's only used for those two things. I think maybe I've used it because the blade's good, and with aluminum, as long as you got a good carbide blade, you can cut aluminum. I've used it to cut aluminum from time to time, and I use this aluminum to make my stencils for my knives. So if I have the stencil for the whole knife or the stencil just for the handle, where I'm shaping scales up, I've used it to cut the aluminum on that. Like I said, I don't even know what the power on it is or anything. It's, let's see here, it's a 1/8 to ½ inch blade range with peak horsepower to 1/3. So again, it's not a big fancy bandsaw, no stretch imagination. I think again, they're still around that $150 mark. Whether you buy a Wen, a Performax, a Craftsman, whoever's, but I wouldn't spend any more than $200 on something small like this, and that's only if you're going to be doing Kydex and leather and stuff, or some little aluminum. You can't use this at all to cut your blade steel. This will not work. It is underpowered. There's not enough torque in this thing. It just can't do it. This is strictly for aluminum, for leather, and for Kydex. So do I recommend buying one? Yes, most definitely, because you're going to need one if you're making knives and you're making your sheaths. This is the way to go. I started out cutting my Kydex by hand, and then just using the standing band, or I actually use my Milwaukee, that one there with the swag table. I used it to cut that. Got really messy. It was definitely a lot of overkill. So for a couple $100, I buy this. I got some blades. I have a standalone unit simply for that purpose, that task. So that wraps it up. So that is it. So that's the top 3 bandsaws I would recommend. I have used it. I don't say I recommend because of the brand name. I just recommend because of its size, its purpose, and the type of bandsaw that it is. The only thing I do recommend are 2 things. One, Swag Off-Road has a phenomenal table. They still make them. It's a great small business, family-owned kind of business. Get your swag table and match that to whatever bandsaw that you have for portable. And secondly is look up the Meehan family over at Saw Service of Washington or LA Cutting Products. You can find them on eBay as well as their own standalone website. Reach out to them, tell them what kind of saws you have, what you're looking for, what you're cutting, and they'll work with you from there. But anyhow, gang, that's it. I'll let you guys go. It's a long video. I appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and also more videos to come on the tools that I'm using in my shop and what I've used the last few years. I thought this would be pretty, educational. So let me know down below. Do you think this is pretty good? And what maybe bandsaws or bandsaw blades or anything that you might have used and had experience in, or what you used when you were younger growing up, or maybe what your dad's shop has right now. I'm always interested in hearing more about tools and seeing what people might be using and maybe add something to my own collection. Until then though, take care. We'll see you later.